I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
Ever hear the one about the frog? Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out.
Here's my resume.
But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, and that frog will boil. It's a lie. But as a metaphor for us and all that we go through as veterans,
real-world experience.
it's a story that rings true. We make excuses for how we feel. We push everything down. We tell ourselves the lie that it's easier to stay in that boiling water, to disconnect. And some days, maybe, it is. But you've never been interested in easy. Reaching out is hard. Do it anyway. You're not alone. You've got this. You are not a frog.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a very special night of iRacing action here on the National Racing Network. My name is Chris Cram. It is a pleasure to have you hanging out with us here tonight. And tonight it is a presentation of the Aaron Hall Memorial 138 presented by Chance 3 Design Shop. We'll bring in Patrick Byrne here in just a little bit, but first we'll kick things off by going to Boomer Logan. And Boomer, this really is a pretty special night for everybody here in the Field Premier Series.
Yeah, it definitely is here. We are remembering Aaron Hall with the Aaron Hall Memorial 138 presented by the Chance 3 Design Shop. Aaron Hall was a big part of the Domination Intimidation Racing team from the get-go. Him and Michael Stroll created the team, I believe, on their original NR03 forums. Their names, one of their names was Intimidator 8, and the other one was Dominator 3, and they combined the two names to make Domination Intimidation Racing, and that was how the team started 20 years ago. I have been a part of the team for about a year now, and got to know Aaron Hall a little bit before he unfortunately passed last fall. So definitely always in our hearts, as he was him and Michael were the two that put this team together, and definitely miss him, even though I didn't know him nearly as long as Stroll did. Obviously, they had about 20 years of friendship in the sim, and building paints and racing together, and definitely miss him. And glad we get a chance to memorialize him here tonight at Richmond.
Yeah, and this one really has the potential to be pretty fun here, Patrick, because we're looking at a 138 lap race. When we're talking fuel strategies and that kind of stuff, this is sort of wide window and absolutely go balls out the entire time.
Yeah, with a 138 lap race, they were talking down in DIR about 80 to 90 lap is how far you can go on the fuel run. So that means it's going to be a one-stop race, but you could pit as early as lap 60 or possibly even earlier than that. I'm doing some back-of-the-napkin math. And as late as lap 90. So really, really a huge margin. The undercut's going to come in here. The overcut's going to come in as long as we don't have a caution-filled race.
Let's take a look and pick up some of the track details here. Richmond Raceway, located in Henry County, Virginia. That is actually an unincorporated area of the Commonwealth of Virginia. It basically sits right outside the city limits. 3/4 of a mile in length, 14 degrees of banking. First race for the new speedway, 1946, won by one of the legends of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Ted Horn. The first race here at Richmond was actually an open wheel race. Ted Horn, with 10 straight years not finishing any lower than 4th. at the Speedway. Absolutely incredible run of years for Ted Horn. This is round number 11 of the Fuel Premier Series. Tonight's race, as we mentioned, will be 138 laps. iRacing is going to be calling the cautions. They will have the choose cone. They'll have to pick either the inside lane or the outside lane when they get to the start-finish line on all restarts after the first one, after the initial start of the race. Overtime attempts are unlimited. Heading into tonight's race, Thomas Bresci has locked up the regular season championship with only 2 races to go here at Richmond and next week at Talladega. 577 points, 126-point lead over Blake Gordon. That is absolutely monstrous. Mike Stroll, Justin Morton, and Rob Ackley will complete your top 5. And Boomer, I know you've been talking a lot to the guys about this. Hearing that pit window is at 85, maybe 90 laps. The biggest concern, it sounds like, though, is the possibility of overdriving the race car, both on corner entry and trying to push too hard on corner exit.
It'll be interesting to see here. There's just about a perfect lap count to be able to go 2 full stints on fuel without having to save too much. So should be, I think, like was already mentioned, pretty much a straight shot and go hard just about the whole way. So we'll definitely be looking to see. I mean, it's really easy to light the tires up, and as you said, it's really easy to light the tires up on corner exit, and really easy to spin it out on quarter entry too. So I guarantee tires are going to mean way more than fuel does for this race. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of yellows we get. I think you already highlighted, but we only have 2 additional sets of tires. So expect to see people try and saving those as long as they can.
Yeah, that's kind of sounds like that's where the thought process is going to be over the course of the race here. And again, this is the Aaron Hall Memorial 138 from Richmond Raceway. Thank you, everybody who's tuning in here on the National Racing Network, whether it is on our YouTube page or on Twitch. But with that, qualifications are upon us. Practice is over. Rob Ackley going to be the quickest of the lot, 22.350 seconds. And now we're going to get to see the fun one here, because these drivers are going to come out basically 2 at a time here. And as soon as they get rolling out on the racetrack, we'll start bringing them up here for you. Looks like Rich Engel's going to be one of the first on the racetrack, as is Don Runkle Jr. So we'll take a look at these guys as they get ready to roll out onto the racetrack. Looking to see, don't think we have anybody else moving just yet. There we go. Now they're going to get moving. First on the racetrack will be the 08 of Series rookie Rich Engel out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Driving the Mitten Brewing Company Free Beer and Hot Wings Show number 08. On the right-hand side of the screen, piloting car number 69 out of Kingman, Arizona for Pelletier McQuistion Simulations. It's the Hershey's Squirt number 69, piloted by Don Runkle Jr. As if the Squirt 69 wasn't good enough, now we're going to go really offensive and make it the Hershey's Squirt 69.
I was going to say, that one's a tough one to say without giggling a little bit. That's a very unique scheme and number combination.
I can't think of very many better sponsors for the number 69 car.
Yes, Rich Engel's first lap going to be on the board. It'll be a 22.81. Don Runkle is going to move up to second quick at a 22.88. Next car is out onto the racetrack. Let's see. Will be Brandon Wengard. He is going to get rolling, as is, I believe. Looks like we're going to see Daco Parka rolling his way down to the end of pit lane. Let's see. We'll pick up 66 of Brian Keita and the 33 of John Gervin for you. 66 of Brian Keita out of Bartlett, Illinois, piloting for Firelight Esports. Player One Coffee Jerky Pro on the side of that machine. Seeing the 33 having to come back to pit lane. Not sure what the issue is there. But John Gervin heading back to pit lane. Brian Keita, 23.18 will be the lap time of record for Brian Keita. He's going to bring that car in, and it looks like it will be a no lap time for the 33 machine. Going to bring Daco Parka out onto the racetrack. Also, going to see the one of Brandon Wengard moving out onto the speedway as well.
Yeah, that number 10 of Daco Parka. Unfortunately, he was not able to participate last week at Darlington for the throwback week. So he is electing to run that throwback Valvoline scheme here tonight.
It's one of my favorite paint schemes in NASCAR. Just the early 2000s, late 90s schemes. A lot of those have a very special place in my heart, and that's definitely one of them.
Right. I know one of Dale Jr.'s biggest things is always getting the scheme, and the sponsor and the scheme to match. And then if you get the number, that's even a bonus. So obviously all three of them, the trifecta here on that 10 car tonight looks good.
Joe Dinsmore checking in, saying thanks for broadcasting. Hey, we appreciate you hanging out with us here and driving a little bit as well. And there you go. Check out the new TikTok account to see highlights and, well, quite frankly, some of the funny stuff from our broadcasts. Yeah, we've got a socials guy now, Bizzle, so we are going to be memes almost instantly.
Will there also be footage from our adventure to Pocono Raceway on there?
That is highly, highly likely that, yes, we're going to have some of that. Maybe we'll let Bizzle take over the NRN TikTok account for Pocono weekend. On the racetrack right now, that sounds like a terrible idea. On the racetrack right now, the 92 of Chris Matthews, also the 73 of Mason, Michigan's Kyle Cooper, driving for Skidmark Central Racing, Old Style, Dynamic Motorsports, and Classic Instruments. On the side of the number 73, Brandon Wengard to the top of the speed charts. Lap time of 22.68 seconds. Now Kyle Cooper to the top of the board, 22.630. That was a fantastic lap for Kyle Cooper. He will head to the top of the board, and we'll get the 65 of Brent Kusick rolling out onto the speedway. That 65 machine out of Charlotte, North Carolina for Domination Intimidation Racing. Lowe's Cookout and Cobalt on the side of that Chevrolet Camaro here tonight. Also getting out onto the racetrack is the 93 of Travis McQuistion. Already has a win this season, opened the season with a win at the Daytona International Speedway. And it hasn't been the year to kind of write home about since then for Travis. Native of Tiffin, Ohio, driving for Pelletier McQuistion Simulations. Craftsman, Fresca, and Amazon on the side of that, number 93. Take a look at the lap here as Kusick comes over the start-finish line. New quick time, 22.603, 22.603 seconds for Brent Kusick. That was a fantastic lap there. Now taking a look at the 93 over the line. New quick time, top of the board, 22.524. And I'll tell you what, Boomer, this is one of those things we're really kind of expecting to see going forward here. You run the qualifications in reverse order of lap times in practice. So basically what you're going to get is the quickest are going to keep coming throughout the evening here.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, you definitely want to go out there, and when you make your run, you want to be the one to set the quickest time, knowing that everyone else behind you was slower than you in practice. So sometimes tough to say. Not everyone does practice Q trim in the practice session beforehand. So some people do elect to do long runs only. But for the most part, it'd stay fairly consistent. Oh, as we see the 90 getting all out of shape.
Hold on to it, buddy.
Yeah, for sure. So, but yeah, definitely we'll start to see some faster times as Guy Brooks actually jumps to second overall there with a 22.56.
The Tucson, Arizona native for Pelletier McQuistion Simulations. DeWalt and Carhart on the side of that one. The 90 on the racetrack of Johnny Edward. He did not have a real good time there on his qualification lap. He will come in 11th quick, 1.6 seconds off the pace here. Now we're going to start to see, well, some of the hot shoes, pun completely intended. It is the 4 of Casey Shoe out of Trinity, North Carolina for JT Motorsports. Snap-on Exalta and Raise Energy on the side of that Chevrolet Camaro. Also heading out onto the racetrack will be the number 12 of Matt Owens. Owens out of Williamsburg, Virginia, another of the rookies in the Fuel Premier Series for Nerdy as Hell Racing. Dr. Squatch, Kettlebrand, Potato Chips, and the Nerdy as Hell podcast on the side of that number 12. I want to pass our condolences along to Matt and his family. Matt lost a very close family member. I don't want to get into too much detail without his permission, but Matt losing a family member earlier this week, and that's why actually he didn't run the race last week. He has the Ken Schrader Kodiak throwback on that car. That's why he's running the scheme tonight. And then he's going to be running a tribute scheme the rest of the season. Casey Shoe going to be 4th quick, but Matt Owens to the top of the board. 22.480. 22.480 seconds.
You know,
another one. Go ahead, Patrick.
If there's any track to substitute throwback scheme for, it's got to be Richmond, because it still has the old red and white old sponsor of the NASCAR Cup Series painted on the backstretch. It is still a very retro style track, which is fantastic.
Well done not spitting that sponsor out, by the way. Seeing JG checking in the comments, it gave the 33 a black flag exiting pit lane. That's interesting.
Okay, must have joined the track too soon, unfortunately. They must not have been able to clear it in time.
Joe Dinsmore in the 95, moving to the top of the board out of Berryville, Virginia for Steel Horse Racing, Dragon Ball Super, iRacing, iFlag, Steel Horse Racing on the side of that one. Also on the racetrack, the 9 of Hayden Pastorius. He's going to be 3rd quick. Yes, Matt Owens checking in. It's the 89 Rusty Wallace scheme. Going way throwback there to Rusty's championship season. Out of Pastorius, out of Corunna, Ontario, Canada for Total Downforce Racing, by the way. Pick up the 81 of Brandon Bernhardt as he makes his way out onto the racetrack. And one of the guys top 5 in points, the 98 of Justin Munsell. That 81 machine for Bernhardt out of Harrisburg, South Dakota for Endeavor Racing, Old Smoky Moonshine, Black Rifle Coffee Company, Meat Church Barbecue. On the side of the Chevrolet Camaro, the 98 of Justin Munsell out of Reno, Nevada, series rookie for Sky Motorsports, Tahoe Blue Vodka, and Raycon on the side of the blue oval Ford Mustang of Justin Munsell. Bernhardt going to move up to 2nd quick on the board. Not a bad lap time there at all for Brandon Bernhardt. 22.469. Nice lap time there for Bernhardt. As we pick up Tyler Hensley on the left-hand side of your screen, just getting started on his hot lap. Also, Brian Young on the right-hand side of the screen. Hensley's number 5 out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Driving for JT Motorsports, Discount Tire, Milwaukee Tools, and Exalta on the side of the number 5. The 86 of Brian Young, series rookie out of Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Driving for Firelight Esports. Target Firelight Esports Rowdy Energy is what he's listed. However, it's RC Cola and Kmart plastered all over the side of that one. Hensley only good enough for 3rd quick at a 22.473. New quick time, Brian Young, 22.383, 22.383 seconds, the lap time of record for Brian Young. Going to put him provisionally on the pole position, still with a handful of drivers left to go. And next of those will be the 11 of Justin Morton out of Sonoma, California for Total Downforce Racing. Black Box and Pixel Dust on the side of that machine. Also heading out onto the racetrack is the 2 of Will Roberts out of Efland, North Carolina. Nerdy as Hell Racing and Red Light Media on the side of that number 2. Justin Morton, top of the board, 22.334 seconds. See what Will Roberts can do with his lap. Only going to be good enough for ninth quick at a 22.548 second. Lap time here around the Richmond Raceway. A little bit of a disappointment there for the 2 of Will Roberts. Regular season champ heading out onto the racetrack now, the number 24 of Thomas Bressi out of Malvern, Pennsylvania. For JT Motorsports, Exalta, the primary sponsor on that machine. And on the right-hand side of your screen, we'll pick up the 00 of Alex Vicellio, series rookie out of Westville, Illinois for Firelight Esports. Body armor and Menards on the side of that race car. Bressi will be the first one to complete his lap. Hustling that car off of turn number 4. He'll see the checkered flag. We'll see a new quick time, 22.306 seconds, 22.306 for Thomas Bressi. Off of corner number 4, keep it off the fence, Alex. 8th quick, 22.487. 22.487, the lap time record for Alex Vicellio. No surprise that we're going to see Thomas Bressi head to the top of the board. On the left-hand side of your screen, it is the number 25 of Chad Mikas out of Wheeling, West Virginia for Domination Intimidation Racing. Mountain Dew, Valvoline, and Ally on the side of that one. That is an Alex Bowman-esque tribute scheme there for the 25. Right-hand side of your screen, we'll have the 7 of Brian McFerrin, the FOMO Co. Ford Motor Company, Ford Mustang. Very, very cool throwback paint scheme there as well. Lap time for Chad Mike is going to be third quick, 22.344, 22.344 seconds. Brian McFerrin going to move up to fifth quick at a 22.392, 22.392 seconds. The lap time a record for Brian McFerrin. Guy we talked about a good bit already thus far, Mike Stroll heading out onto the racetrack out of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania for Domination Intimidation Racing. Yingling Lager DC Shoes and Bass Pro Shops on the side of the number 8. The 22 of Rob Ackley, one of the series rookies out of Watertown, New York for Keeping It Real Esports. Mara Racing Network on the side of the 22 there. See what the lap time is going to look like for Mike Stroll. He was very quick in practice, and he's top of the board, 22.270. New quick time, 22.270 seconds for Mike Stroll. Rob Ackley right behind him, 22.305. 22.305 seconds will be Rob Ackley's lap time. Not quite good enough to pick up the pole award here. Thus far, waiting on Cal Filarski and Casey Lakatos, and I don't think either one of those guys may take a time here. But John Gervin looked like he had a penalty that was assessed. Justin Munsell recorded his lap, but it did not score for timing and scoring purposes, meaning he had a 0x or more over the course of the lap. And that should just about finish us up here for qualifications. So thus far here, Boomer, no real surprises. The guys that were quick in practice we're seeing up here towards the front of the board for the race.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Michael Stroll has been fast all day in practice here, and definitely putting down a pretty good time to take over the pole tonight. So we'll look to see if him or Rob Ackley can finally beat that guy starting in third, who has won quite a few races this year.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it, and it is just about time to get these cars gridded up. So we'll take a look here. Let's get you ready to go here for 138 laps at the Richmond Raceway.
Gentlemen, start your green, rolling. In your track. Check it up.
How about it, race fans? Get you ready to go racing here for 138 laps at the Richmond Raceway. My name is Chris Graham. Thank you very much for checking in alongside Patrick Byrne and Boomer Logan. Practice is done. Qualifying's done. At this point here, Patrick, now you got a little bit of time before we get ready to roll out. What do you do in that time? Is this like go grab a drink, grab a beer, hit the head kind of time? Or is it more of a kind of settle in and start to get focused?
It depends on the driver. I know some people who will sit and stare dead at their computer monitor, waiting for that race to start, kind of meditating. I know some people, I know myself, depending on how serious the race is, I will definitely go get up, grab a beer, maybe two in that 2-minute period. And that's how I relax myself, calm my nerves, get myself ready to go. I know some people like just step up, maybe stretch a little bit, especially if it's a longer race, and just there's all different ways to kind of get your head in the game.
I guess the biggest thing or what would be most important is just to get yourself mentally in that place where that you really want to be. Let's see. Let's take a look here and see if we can't get a word in here with Mike Stroll, our pole sitter here this evening. And Mike, congratulations on picking up, let me see, a Chance 3 Design Pole Award. Apropos here tonight. Congratulations. I tell you what, the car looked good in practice, and you were really quick in qualifying.
Yeah, I mean, I thought when I qualified it, I thought I was like slow. I guess slow is fast. So usually every time I get the pole or, I put a fast lap down, I usually think that's really slow. But I just concentrated on being smooth, and it worked out for me tonight. And I'm glad to put on a pole, for Aaron and my buddy, and and all of DIR and all my teammates and stuff. We're all having a good time over there in our little room. Chad's all hopped up on hard Mountain Dew, so it should be a fun night. Hopefully we can put it in victory lane.
All I can see is the spray in victory lane of hard Mountain Dew all over everything. Sounds absolutely incredible. What are your thoughts here as we get ready to roll then? Because this is a fairly long race, but there's a lot of strategy options. Are you thinking about that at all, or are you more of the kind of just hang out and get ready to go kind of driver?
I'm starting. First of all, I got my nose out in the wind, so I'm gonna just try to lead as many laps as I can, and play the strategy right. Usually these races here at Richmond for us go green, so I kind of expect the same, and just kind of see where the night takes us. I'm solidly in the playoffs. I'm pretty sure I'll be in the finals or whatever we call them. But so I'm just hoping to at least get one win before then, if not before the end of the season.
All right, buddy. Well, congratulations on picking up the Chance 3 Design Pole Award, and good luck tonight.
Thank you.
There you go. There's Mike Stroll, your pole sitter here this evening, and We'll put up the timing tower once again for you here. Still have about 2 minutes and 20 seconds left to go before it is time to grid.
Now, he said something really important, which I read a book by Elaine Prost a couple years ago, where he discusses when you feel like the car is going slow and tail end's not sliding around and everything feels super controlled and really slow is the only word that really describes it. That's when the car is going its fastest. When you're sliding the car around, when you're really wheeling the thing and, really giving the car 110%, you're burning time. Anytime you have smoke coming off one of the tires, smoke coming off the brakes, putting too much steering in it, that smoke is visible time floating away.
It is so funny that you say that because all I can think about is the Andretti quote of, if it feels like you're in control, you're not going fast enough. I would say Gilles Villeneuve would probably have something to say to Mr. Prost as well. But speaking of the old guys here, well, hold on. You just gave us an absolutely perfect segue here. Speaking of the old guys, coming up tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, green flag time, I will be driving a Lotus 79 in this thing. No broadcast of this one. We'll probably put together a highlight package because this race is absolutely incredible. Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a true vintage Indy 500. The DW12, the IR09, Lotus 79, Lotus 49, and the sprint car on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway at the same time. The closing rate between the DW12 and the two slowest classes, the 49 and the sprint car, upwards of 130 miles an hour on corner entry. It is as insane as it sounds. I believe we had almost 50 cars last year. We're hoping for even more than that. And a true 3-wide start. And if I remember to tell everybody in advance ahead of time, no pit lane speed limit. It truly is a throwback to the glory days of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We can't wait. I'll be in a Lotus 79. Patrick, you'll be in a 49, I'm guessing?
Yes, sir. On our last broadcast I was on, I went through my rant about last year's race. Just going to drop all that and just go ahead and I'll collect my trophy this year.
Yes, a frosty bottle of milk. A etched, branded vintage Indy 500 milk bottle going out to all the class winners. Maybe a little bit of NRN swag going out the door as well. But once again, want to thank everybody who's tuned in here on YouTube and on Twitch. We're going to get the commercial breaks out of the way here. Twitch already has one rolling, got one up on YouTube. Don't forget, check out the TikTok. Connor Baldwin is running that for us now. That's going to be fun. Highlights, shenanigans, all sorts of stuff, and we'll probably let people take over the TikTok at times as well. Will Roberts is messaging us in the Discord saying, Matt Owens and I need deets about this vintage Indy 500 later. We'll get you the Discord link. The race is an absolute dumpster fire. It is a blast, and perhaps the best part is the attenuator party after the checkered flag.
Yes, seeing whatever cars are left running at the end of the race pile into each other at 200 miles an hour at the pit attenuator, you will launch sprint cars out of the park. It is hilarious.
Yes, it is. It is a ton of fun. I cannot wait for tomorrow night. But first, we got business to take care of here tonight. Let's bring up the starting grid for tonight's race. And it will be on the pole, Mike Stroll with a lap time of 22.270 seconds. He will lead this 30-car field to green for the Aaron Hall Memorial 138. Lining up to his outside will be Rob Ackley, Thomas Bressey, Justin Morton on row number 2, Chad Mikus, and Brian Young on row 3. Row 4 will have Brian McFerrin and Joe Dinsmore. Row 5, Brandon Bernhardt and Tyler Hensley. Matt Owens and Alex Vicellio on row number 6. Row 7 will have Hayden Pistorius and Travis McQuistion. Will Roberts, Guile Brooks on row 8. Row 9, Casey Shue and Brent Kusick. Kyle Cooper, Brandon Wengard on row number 10. Row 11 will see Daco Parka and Rich Engel. Chris Matthews and Don Runkle Jr. on row number 12. Row 13 will have Brian Keita and Johnny Edward. Casey Lakatos and Justin Munsell on row number 14. And row 15, John Gervin and Cal Filarski. 30 cars for 138 laps. We're looking forward to this one in a pretty big way here. This field is going to be stout. And Boomer, we're going to transition into the nighttime here as well. That's definitely going to play a role as the race goes on here.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, these changing track conditions definitely going to make a difference. I mean, the track right now they put up looks like it is about 81 degrees Fahrenheit, and the temperature in the air is 78. So expect that to drop probably at least 10 to 15 degrees as the race goes on. So sun's setting, and track's going to cool off and get a little slick, and should be fun to watch.
Yeah, we'll show you the weather conditions presented by our friends at the Weather Center. Offensively accurate weather for eastern Pennsylvania. 78 degree temperature, 68% humidity. Wind's going to be out of the northwest at 2 miles an hour. Cloudy skies, 81 degree track temperature, as Boomer mentioned. That's definitely going to grip up even more as the night goes on. Field making their way through turns 3 and 4. They'll get to the early start-finish line. It doesn't sit in the middle of the racetrack, stealing Bizzle's thunder. Getting ready, green flags in the air. We are underway here at Richmond.
I'm the fun facts guy, man.
I literally realized tonight that Richmond does not have a start-finish line in the center of the track. I never paid attention before.
First lap very quickly in the books. It's going to be Mike Stroll leading Thomas Pressey, Rob Ackley, Justin Morton, and Chad Mikus. Mikus going to be up on the outside of the racetrack. Slide back a little bit here, and we'll pick up. We'll get you the side-by-side ready to go here anyway. Right-hand side of the screen will have the 81 of Brandon Wengert and the 93 of Travis McQuistion. These guys, couple of rows deep, doing pace laps here around the Richmond Raceway.
This really is a track where you can't overdrive the car, especially exiting the corners. This thing will snap on you faster than anything you've seen, entering and exiting actually. So by the end of this tire run, I think we're going to see who has control of the car, who has it figured out, and who has no idea what they're doing.
Yeah, sliding back in the pack a little bit here, pricking up the 73 and the 65. That's Brent Kusick in the 65, Kyle Cooper in the 73. That's probably one of the things that we really heard the most out of the drivers here, Boomer, was overdriving the car was really a concern tonight. You didn't want to push too hard too early in the run.
Yeah, for sure. This is a track that you can very easily loop it on corner, exit, and entry. Not a lot of tracks that have that. Yeah, if you've got your brakes too aggressive coming in and your throttle too aggressive coming out, I mean, this track is very, very easy to spin out, especially as it cools off a little bit. A little more grip as it cools off, but still pretty easy on colder tires to loop them for sure.
Yeah, taking a look there, Guile Brooks may have gotten a piece of the outside safer barrier exiting turn 4 a lap ago, but it shot him so far down to the inside of the racetrack that it might not hurt him too much here. It almost feels like, we talk about it in the open wheel cars a lot, Patrick. If you run the farthest inside lane, it might be quicker, but you're going to burn the tires off. We're already seeing these drivers running a lane and a half up, kind of the midpoint of the corner.
The difference between these versus an open wheel cars, these punch a much larger hole in the air. The open wheel cars, they run like a quarter to a half of a lane up off that yellow line. It's a real fast line. So you can stay right behind another car if you dip the left side of your open wheel car all the way down to that yellow line. These things, however, punch such a massive hole, you got to offset yourself too. Otherwise, you'll get an insane amount of aero push.
already approaching 10 laps in the books here at the Richmond Raceway. Feels like everybody has started to really settle in here, and sort of what you were talking about there, Patrick. You kind of give yourself a little room, find a little bit of air, not really pushing things too crazy hard here. Let's take a look here, and we'll go on board with Rob Ackley.
You can already see how they're running a little bit of a different line there between the 24 and the 22. Looks like Bresci gets a little bit better drive off. Rob's like maybe a half a lane lower and gets in a little bit deeper than Bresci does. But there really are a lot of ways that you can drive this track, whether you want to be aggressive in or out. But you can already even see that here in the second and third positions of Thomas Bresci and Rob Ackley.
I'll tell you what's really interesting about that, Boomer, as you talk about the difference in lines, is the fact that there's almost no difference in lap time. 5-lap average for Thomas Bresci, 22.979. 5-lap average for Rob Ackley, 22.969. Same story for the 10-lap average, 22 with an 8.26, 22 with an 8.21 for Bresci and Ackley respectively. You really have a lot of options to feel the car out and really kind of put the car where it wants to be.
Yeah, for sure. And I think towards the end of the run, if you can figure out how to have more drive off than anyone else, I think that's going to help you more than getting in deeper. But we'll have to wait and see how that goes, and see if Rob Ackley can prove me wrong. He's definitely taking the latter approach, trying to drive it in a little bit more deeper than some of the guys around him.
Everybody towards the front of the field is nose to tail at this point. Pretty decent battle back in the pack here. We'll pick up Chris Matthews and Casey Lakatos. That is Casey in the 50 down to the inside. Lakatos, excuse me. I'm sorry, Casey. I promise I will get your name right once this season. Little bit of a surprise to see the 98 of Justin Munsell back there as well. Justin's gained 6 spots after a little bit of a rough go in qualifications, but really no huge movers. Alex Vicellio is up 4 to the 8th position. Travis McQuistion up 3 to 11th. Kind of surprised that we haven't seen more movement yet, as Lakatos down to the inside of the 10 of Daco Parka. Here comes Munsell in the 98th. Thought about going 3 wide into 1. Patrick, how soon do you start thinking strategy here if you're some of these guys towards the back of the pack? Because hypothetically, the pit window could open as early as lap 48 to 52 or so in that range. We really have a pretty wide window for where you may want to make that first pit stop.
If I was one of those guys, I would be pitting as soon as that window opens, as long as the leader doesn't jump on that window as soon as pit's open. Just because it's Richmond, you're likely to get a caution later, and if you're one of those slower guys, you're likely to go a lap down. So take that lap down early, get those fresh tires, start making up time on the guys in front. This way you can get yourself that lucky dog when the caution does come out, and then have a fighting chance. Get yourself that free set of tires and go out and try and race the leaders.
The only question I would have to that, Boomer, is you're not losing a lap here at Richmond. You're more like losing 2 laps when you come down pit lane. Is it possible that the undercut is just not a viable strategy here because of how short the racetrack is?
Yeah, I think it's going to depend on when everyone pits. Obviously, you know, it's kind of a cop-out answer to say that it depends, but it'll really play. You know, if there are some guys that elect to pit early and we are able to stay green and no one elects to come down with them, I think in the long run that will definitely be advantageous to them. Maybe gain them somewhere between 5 and 10 spots. You know, it's not going to get them up to the race lead to win. You know, unless they were already in the top 10. But it'll be interesting to see how everyone plays strategy with each other. A lot of times, honestly, I think the overcut tends to work better in this league, where you run longer later and try to be the longest to stay out on fuel and then pit. So we'll have to see. I mean, if you're undercutting really early versus overcutting really late, I think the overcut takes the win. But who knows? Maybe 5 to 10 spot advantage if you time it right. And the critical thing would be your time on pit road. I think that's going to be the biggest sticking point. More important than when you actually pit is how long you actually spend on pit road.
That's a great point. There is so much time to be lost, and pit entry here is not easy at Richmond. It's not like the open wheelers where you would see them duck down to here on the back straightaway and have to commit to pit lane early. You can almost start about here and really try to get the car woed up. That could be one of the biggest challenges these guys face all night.
Yeah, getting inside that commitment cone sometimes an issue, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see at least one person do it if we do have green flag stops. But if you gotta be, if you haven't practiced it, you definitely got to be conservative, because it's quite easy to if you're trying to come off the banking, especially to loop it into the pits, and that's not a situation that anybody wants to see, because it probably will bring out a yellow.
Nice side-by-side battle here between the 9 of Hayden Pastorius and the 81 of Brandon Bernhardt. Race leaders already catching lap traffic, and they are going to be going to war into turn number 3. Thomas Bresci having a peek on Mike Stroll to the outside. Rob Ackley going to be there inside off of 3. Everybody able to get back in line. The 08 of Rich Engel, the first car to go one lap down here this evening. Not too far ahead, though, is the 66 of Brian Keita. Maybe a little bit of damage on the front end of Keita's machine, actually.
Now, something that just popped in my head was, how effective could clutch and coast be here? I have a feeling it could be incredibly effective here with the amount of speed you can carry through these corners. Just to save maybe even more fuel than the 90-lap window we were kind of given.
I'll tell you what, there is some damage there on the front of Keita's machine. Didn't see anybody having any big problems here on the racetrack, but yeah, we saw that out of I guess it was Johnny Avila in the Sim Racers Club. He was going full-on shut the car off mode in the corners. I don't think you're going to quite go that far here at Richmond. Oh, hold on to it. That was Bresci with a big wiggle off it too.
You know one guy in the field that, if they're going to do it, will be trying it, and that will be the number 2 of Will Roberts, our head admin and one of the co-founders of the league. He is known, his favorite saying is, all right, I'm going to try something, and he's pretty well known for it. So if someone's trying it tonight, it will be that number 2 car.
I'll tell you what, he's only about a third of the racetrack back, and I mean, in reality, that's kind of where you would be if you were going to try something alternate in terms of fuel strategy. Maybe you can get 95 or 100 laps out of it, and then you know you're going to have a 30 or so lap stint that you could really blast off here late in this race.
Yeah, definitely. I know Will, whether he's running first or 30th, he has no issues trying things, so we'll be interested to see where he falls with his strategy.
Thomas Bresci may fall to third as Rob Ackley looks to the inside. Bresci has been all-conquering this season. I don't want to hype the guy too much here, but the numbers are just incredible. 10 starts, 5 wins, 5 top 5 finishes. In fact, I think he's been on the podium every week. Only 19 incidents. When you factor in how many road courses we've run, that's actually not that low of a number. And some of the short track beating and banging that these guys will do, it really has been as close to a perfect season as you're going to see.
That's almost like if Kyle Larson went out there and won 16 races out of the year in the Cup Series. It's just unthinkable.
Yeah, it's definitely impressive. It's quite a few. I mean, there's guys like that 11 car right behind him that have been right there all season long, but definitely Thomas being the one to get the job done week in and week out. It's been a great season for him so far. The only thing we have to remember is that you do need to carry that momentum through the finals, because we do have a playoff reset here in Fuel, and sometimes being the regular season champ in the real world in the Xfinity and Cup Series seems to be a bit of a curse more than a blessing.
Yeah, that's one of those that you don't want to see any fall off. And if you're Thomas Bressi, third place is not exactly like it's a fall off, but a fifth or sixth place finish tonight. And now all of a sudden, is it creeping into your head a little bit going, this is not when I want to be doing this, especially when we head to Talladega next week?
Yeah, that'll definitely be a bit of a wild card next week, but you know, I don't think there's any cause for concern from the 24. Obviously, could have been a, could just be a little more aggressive on tires, and maybe he's trying to do the undercut here tonight. We're not sure, but I don't think there's anything to worry about just yet. Obviously, that 8 and the 22 have had some incredible pace here at Richmond. Could just be something where this track benefits them. I know Michael really likes coming here, so should be, no cause for concern for the 24 for now.
And Mike mentioned this in the build-up in the pole winners interview presented by Chance 3 Design. This is a racetrack that he really likes, and he really wants a win before this season is out. Tonight might carry a little bit more meaning to it, but the reality is he's just pushing hard for the win. He's going to be good in points. He is the first driver without a win as we get ready for the Fuel Finals. Bressi has 5 wins. Blake Gordon has 2. Justin Morton has 2. Travis McQuistion has the season opening win at Daytona. If you're going to go back through the top 10, you're still talking about Will Roberts being there, and he's even in pretty good shape because it's a 16-point buffer to Casey Lakatos. But you still can't kind of lay off here yet because we know what's coming next week at Talladega. Or more specifically, we don't know what's coming next week at Talladega.
Right. Absolute wild card, like I already mentioned. I mean, anyone is going to get a chance to probably win that race, so we'll see. I mean, obviously, you see the front runners typically stay the same at the plate tracks, but I know Michael's approach, being a teammate of his, to every single race is absolutely the same. It doesn't matter what race it is. Obviously, tonight, a little bit more meaning for him and our teammate who we lost, Aaron Hall, but I have no doubt in my mind that he's approaching this like any other race and trying to lead every lap and, trying to be the one there holding the checkered flag at the end. So, not that there isn't a significance to the race, but you kind of got to go in and think about it as, yep, we're going to do my job. Nothing's different. This is the same in, same out every week, and we're just going to go get the job done.
Rob Ackley is absolutely hounding Mike Stroll at the moment, though. Working at lap number 44 of 138. The gap is theoretically 0.2 of a second. We'll call it half a car length off at turn number 2. Patrick, when you're in this kind of scenario, you're Mike Stroll, you're leading, you've got this guy right here on your bumper. You don't want to give the lead up to him, but you also don't want to take the chance that he misses a brake pedal or something on entrance to turn 1.
Now, I am the king of the bizzle. However, I'm trying to get in his head. I might let him do this, get right on alongside me, let him get in front of me, and then I'll scare him. I will miss my brake marker a little bit and kind of scare him, make him not want to sit in front of me, and then make him a little timid to pass me. Nothing dirty. I'm not going to dump him right into the corner, but I will absolutely kind of screw with him, play a little bit of chess with him, and have him play my game instead of let me play his.
It's an interesting way of looking at it in terms of whether you're on offense or you're on defense here. Boomer, what's your thought process like when you're in the driver's seat like that? Are you the more aggressive, or are you a little bit more kind of sit back and take things in?
You know, I do try to be more of a tire save guy. I'm definitely not as fast as some of these guys at the front of the pack for initial pace, but I do try to lay back a little bit and try to save more a little bit than those guys around me. But with that said, if I'm racing side by side with someone, I do try to be a little bit aggressive at least to just make sure that I'm not giving them any extra inch and any extra advantage. So. I guess a bit of a mix of both. I mean, if they're absolutely running me down, just let them go. But if we're running and battling hard, then trying to keep them behind me at all costs.
Picking up this nice little battle here, Justin Munsell, Brandon Bernhardt, and Matt Owens, all staying within a couple of tenths of each other here through turns 1 and 2, and they've been this way the last handful of laps. In fact, pretty significantly closer to each other right as we were cutting to them. 50 laps in the books and only 5 cars being scored 1 lap down. Next on the list will be 25th place running Kyle Cooper. Daco Parka not very much ahead of the race leaders either. And Patrick, it almost this starting to feel a little bit like some of the races we've seen, especially in the Sim Racers Club events, when you get these super long runs that you end up with only a couple of cars on the lead lap by the end of it.
Yeah, and these guys are very, very good at not hitting things, which means cautions are unlikely. If we've gone this far without a green, without a yellow, I don't think we're going to get one. Just because cautions breed cautions, and if you're not stacking up the whole field and getting them together, these guys don't make very many mistakes. So I do expect to see a ton of cars going a lap down in this one, especially with the way these leaders are racing.
Seeing Casey Shue making his way down pit lane here at lap number 53. This already could be a final stop of the race as Shue's going to hit his box. Grill will go around to the right-hand side. We'll follow along and see where Casey Shue's going to come out here. I don't see a ton of damage on the race car. And now he's down and away. That is a clean pit stop for Casey Shue, entering the night 14th in the point standings. But Shue, after a 15.1 second stop, will be scored 30th and last on the field. 54 seconds behind your race leaders right now.
Yeah, there's that 2-second gap that you, or not 2 second, excuse me, 2 lap gap that you mentioned earlier in the broadcast. Definitely lose a lot of time on pit road, and I think the interesting thing to see will be we saw Casey Shue spending 46.3 seconds on pit road. We'll see what our leaders compare to there and see who can pull a shorter time and maybe jump some people that way. But we're looking to see how much further Casey Shue can climb through the field now that he is the first one to pit. And it looks like it'll be at least a few laps here until anyone else elects to pit.
Could we possibly see someone try a two-tire stop? Especially if
like
you were to pit early?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to run the numbers to know based on your pit signals and how long it takes you on pit road. But I do feel like that would be, I feel like that would be highly advantageous for a race like this tonight. But who knows? You know, I'd love to see someone try it for the sake of the broadcast, but I just don't think it's going to be super advantageous tonight. Not with going 2 laps down every time you pit here at such a short track.
Yeah, I'm saying could you possibly run the set of lefts for the entire race?
Oh, I apologize. I see what you're saying. So taking right sides only and save some time on pit road?
Correct. If you know you're going to have a green flag cycle, could you make a set of lefts last 138 laps?
Man, that's still pretty tough, I'd say. But I mean, honestly, for the 8 seconds, it could be worth it. Especially if you were really far back in the pack, it could be worth it. So, again, I guess for the sake of the broadcast, I'd love to see someone try it. But I think for me, I'd be taking all 4 tires every time I do stop.
Yeah, 4 tires is definitely the way to go. With how loose this racetrack already is most of the time, taking 2 tires is just going to make the car incredibly loose, incredibly killer to drive. And I don't know if I'd want to risk that mistake of spinning it or hitting the wall or taking out a bunch of other cars just for 8 seconds. 8 seconds is huge, but hitting the wall will cost you a lot more than 8 seconds.
I know a few people that say when they drive the 87 cars that they believe that you don't ever need to take left side tires in those. So interesting take, but this is definitely a completely different car model here with the current B Xfinity cars that we race here in the Fuel Premier Series.
Take a look at the weather conditions here, see if we've noticed any change. Ambient temperature down to 77 degrees, track temp still around 87 degrees or so, so not a huge change. Little bit of shift in the winds. Going to be more out of kind of, well, now it's going to start to turn back to the north a little bit, but a little bit more of a westerly wind, but otherwise not much of a change here in the weather conditions presented by our friends at the Weather Center. Don't look now, guys. Cue the Jaws theme. Thomas Bressie is right back on your race leaders. Justin Morton there as well in the 11. First car being scored out of the race will be Brandon Wengard. Man, Mike Stroll really starting to back the field up through 1 and 2 there. If you wanted to split the race right down the middle and just do it as a true two-stint race, you're looking at stops at lap number 69.
I would say that'd be a nice number to stop at.
Yeah, nice for sure. I think the only difference being here in the Fuel Premier Series that we do have the halfway points, so it would be definitely nice to get a few bonus points here to stay out and get that first the top 10 placings on lap 69 halfway.
Daco Parka making his way down pit lane just now, getting to his box after 19 seconds on pit lane. And again, the window's open, so it may not be much of an undercut, but it does look like this is a little bit of an undercut that we're seeing here out of Daco Parka. I'll tell you what, I think we're getting the answer on tires, by the way, here. Casey Shue is absolutely chewing up the race leaders. Trying to get back to 1 lap down as Brent Kusick makes his way in. Last lap time, 23:43 for Casey Shue. 23:97. Oh, and the caution's out. Caution on the speedway. Trouble for John Gervin. Oh, man, Mike Stroll almost got into him.
Wow. Almost a few of our leaders there. That was crazy.
Take a look and see what happened here. Have the replay on the left-hand side of your screen. Oh, big hit with Johnny Edward as well. Right in front of the race leaders. Wow. That's, that'll make you think a little bit. Take a look and show you the replay one more time here from a little bit wider of an angle.
It looked like John Gervin was giving him room there in the entrance of the corner, and the 90 just might have come down a little bit. Hard to tell from the angle, but definitely unfortunate for both those guys.
And we've got drama on the racetrack here, boys. Mike Stroll, your race leader, electing to stay out on this first caution flag of the race. Gael Brooks staying out as well. Just about everybody else on the lead lap coming down pit lane. Chris Matthews, Kyle Cooper. Oh, go ahead.
I was getting a report. It sounds like there's a bit of an issue with the pit road lights. The 8 believe that pit road would not have been open that first time. So he thought pit was going to open next lap, and unfortunate mistake there for him tonight.
Oh, man, we'll see. This is, man, I don't think this is going to be close at all either. As Mike Stroll just now getting down pit lane. This is going to put him basically to the tail end of the lead lap. as I was looking at the replay, kind of keeping my eye on Stroll out of the corner of my eye, saw him not come down pit lane, then went, wait a minute, everybody else is. And that is a heartbreaker for Mike Stroll, as he is going to fall back to the 18th position. Kyle Brooks making his way down pit lane. Now let's take a look. Let's see how we want to try this one here. Well, okay, let's see, we'll try it this way here. We'll go back to the live look here, but we'll take a look at what the view was for Mike Stroll here. Let's take a look. So here's the onboard for Mike Stroll. Yeah, I can't really see the lights there, but... So getting ready to go back to green flag racing. Rob Ackley getting a very nice jump on the field. Man, what a tough break for Mike Stroll. He's going to have a lot of work to do now. He's going to be a fun one to watch coming up through the field, that's for sure.
See, I don't want to doubt him as a driver, but I don't know if he has the pace to run all the way back up through the field. I mean, you saw how hard he was fighting to keep that lead. It's not like he's a runaway winner of this race, so it's going to be a ton of battling. He's going to have to burn up his equipment, and he's going to need a couple more cautions to get back up there, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely need to be patient here. He did get one free pass, though. Look at the 86 of Brian Young on that restart. Might have gone sliding through the grass, so one spot picked up easily, but the rest will definitely be picked up the hard way.
Yeah, let's take a look here and pick up Mike Stroll, because he is already around Hayden Pistorius as well. So restarted in the 18th position. He's already up to 13th. Basically what he's going to need is to run his way back to the front and then get a very quick caution. So it would kind of force everybody down pit lane once again. Justin Munsell going to be side by side with Brian McFerrin, just behind the two of Will Roberts. Still a long way left to go in this race, but storyline starting to develop already. Battle for the lead into 3. Thomas Bressie peeks to the inside of Ackley. Oh, they might have made some contact. Maybe a little right side romance.
Just short track racing. Let him have it.
That was a kiss, maybe a little bit of a rub, but not much else. But put Thomas Bressie up to the race lead. We work lap number 79. Pick back up the side-by-side here is Justin Munsell getting around Will Roberts. That's the 98. Just back behind these guys is Mike Stroll. He's still on the charge. Gotten around Casey Lakatos. Now to the inside of Joe Dinsmore. And Stroll's already worked himself back up to the 11th position. It's going to take some strategy work, but I don't think we can count Mike Stroll out of this race just yet. Race leaders coming across the start. Michael Stroll already working inside of Travis McQuistion up to the 9th position. He's gaining spots in a big-time hurry. And running, quite frankly, right about the same lap times as what we're seeing out of your race leaders. You just wonder how much push is too much push here.
Well, depends on how much you want that win. If you really want that win, you got to go full send all the way till you're back up towards the front of this field.
And I'll tell you what, listening to the onboard, it really doesn't sound like he's beating things up too hard either. I mean, really smooth through the corners, not a ton of oddball kind of throttle inputs, no stabbing at the throttle or brake or anything. It sort of feels like he's just kind of cruising here.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a change in mindset and game plan here, but he's definitely pretty good. A lot of the guys at the front of the field are pretty good at, separating the mistakes, or at least pushing them aside for now and focusing on what they have to do for the task at hand. And obviously the strategy changes quite a bit, and you kind of really have to completely change your mindset at times.
So continuing to look here towards the front of the field, Thomas Bressi leading Rob Ackley. We'll call it a car length and a half this time by the start-finish line. Justin Morton going to be about the same gap back, same gap to Chad Mikus. Nice run there for Chad in 4th. How about Justin Munsell in the 98, though? This guy, easily your primate pest elimination hard charger of the race. Munsell up 21 spots to run in 7th. Also got to give a shout to Casey Lakatos. He is up 15 to run in the 12th position. Now, Patrick, I'll ask you the question here. Do you get it in your head that you've made your last stop, or is it always kind of lingering around there that we're probably going to see one more caution at some point, and you're maybe going to get a shot at sticker tires? Or do you have to put yourself in that position of, I'm not coming to pit road again, and if I do, it's a bonus?
My mindset always goes to, if I'm at the end of the window, I know I can make it to the end. My mindset is always, I'm not pitting again. If another caution comes out, depending on where I am in the situation of the race, my mindset either becomes I'm doing what the leader's doing or I'm doing the opposite of what the leader's doing. But I never really, once I've hit my last stop and I've made my number, I quit running the numbers and focus on just finishing the race.
Well, we're working at lap number 94 of 138. Thomas Bressi, as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, has already locked up the regular season championship. Trying to take a 6th win on the season here this evening. Man, the lap times at the front are just insane. 5 lap averages from first place Thomas Bressi all the way back through 7th place Justin Munsell are within about a 10th, maybe a 10th and a half. The 10 lap and 15 lap averages are within hundredths to thousandths of a second apart from each other. This really does feel like the kind of middle cruise settle in part of the race. Take a look here. We'll pick up Chad Mikus because I wonder if he's doing something similar to what we saw Thomas Bressi doing in the first stint. Kind of backing off the leaders just a little bit, keeping them in sight, but knowing if you're just a tick slower, you're probably saving a little bit of tire for late in the run. If you're working on the assumption of we're not coming to pit road again, then Boomer, maybe that's a kind of a big brain move to say, hey, I'm going to make sure I have more tires than they do at the end of this.
Yeah, there's definitely a bit of a gap if you save too much and there's nothing, and you have too much left at the end, then you've wasted a bunch. But definitely smart to try and save a little bit more than the guys around you. But it's such a gain to know how much really you do need to save. You got to save as much as you possibly can without underdriving the car.
Yeah, the underdriving part is a really big part of this as well. It is possible to go too slow when you're trying to save a little bit of fuel or save some tires.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a chance to try and underdrive the car just to save. So, I mean, these guys at the front know how to push these cars very hard without sliding the tires and conserving it as much as they can. So definitely takes quite a bit of skill to be able to find that balance and not not overdrive but not underdrive it on the long runs.
Already getting down close to 35 laps to go. That'll be next time by the start-finish line. Thomas Bressi still has Rob Ackley all over the rear deck lid of that race car. Seeing our buddy Robert Kreiser checking in the comments. What's going on, bud? Hopefully you guys are doing well. Robert, crew guy for his brother Mike on a a Sportsman and a 270 out at Lanco's Clyde Martin Memorial Speedway. Absolutely epic little bull ring in central Pennsylvania. 8th Mile Dirt Bristol is the easiest way to say it. John Gervin checking in under that last caution flag saying 33 screwed again. Yeah, that one... I guess League admins will take a look at that one here in the post race, but now that we're starting to get into lap traffic here, Patrick, is this where Chad Mikus is maybe a little bit of thought of backing off and underdriving maybe a little bit starts to come into play?
Yeah, if you're not under any serious pressure, absolutely you want to underdrive the car a little bit. As we see the 08 letting the leaders by, stepping out of his rhythm and hitting the wall there. That is very, very easy to do here.
Yeah, Rich, I go just a little bit of a kiss with a safer barrier.
Which is the point I make towards not underdriving the car and not trying to save it. If you have a good rhythm built up and a good groove, keep going with that groove. Don't slow yourself down, because you have to think about slowing yourself down. When you think as a race car driver, that's when you make mistakes.
Yeah, the one that immediately comes to mind is Ayrton Senna's run at Monaco, where he basically stuffed himself in the fence because he tried to back off when the team told him to. It is so much easier to wreck the car when you're not pushing kind of 10/10ths.
Yeah, don't push the car to its absolute limits, but don't slow yourself down either. Just sit where it's comfortable, where you've built this groove and this rhythm for this long of the race.
Seeing some of the cars here back behind your race leaders working their way through lap traffic. That is the 25 of Chad Mikus, the 00 of Alex Vicellio, Tyler Hensley, and Justin Munsell all going to be there as well. Mike Stroll, by the way, up to the 8th position, and that's kind of where he's stalled out a little bit. Still running laps that are fairly quick compared to the race leaders. Vicellio going to look outside of Mikus. Maybe try the crossover here off of turn 2. Not close enough to attempt that one, but they're getting caught back up to Justin Morton here as well. What was about a 7/10 of a second gap between Morton and Mikus is now down to about 4/10 of a second. Working their way around Daco Parka. It'll be 25 to go this time by for race leader Thomas Bressi. Holding about a, let's see, it's about a half-second gap here over Rob Ackley. This battle that we're watching, Chad Mikus, Alex Vicellio, Tyler Hensley, Justin Munsell lined up all nose to tail. Great run again. Munsell up 21 spots. There's Thomas Bressi in the lead, 6/10 of a second over Rob Ackley as they make their way off of turn number 2. Justin Morton a full 1.7 seconds back. Then another full second back to Chad Mikus in 4th. And really, this is the only battle on the racetrack. From 4th through 7th. Hensley looking inside of Vicellio. Patrick, I'll ask the question here because I think we're starting to get to the window. Are we possibly getting to where it is now too late even if the caution comes out, to make a stop for tires?
Absolutely not. If you're at the back end of those cars in the lead lap, you're going to come into the pits, not going to lose that many spots, and you're going to get on much fresher rubber than the guys in front. No, you might not win the race, but you're going to pick off a bunch of spots of the guys in front who chose not to take tires. So, like everything else in racing, it depends on everything that's going on around you, but for a lot of the field, absolutely you're going to come in and take that extra set of tires.
Taking a look at the lap averages here for Thomas Bressie and Rob Ackley. Over the 5-lap average, they're pretty close to each other. It's about 0.05 of a second over the 10-lap average for Bressie. The big one is over the 15-lap average, about a full tenth faster lap over lap for Thomas Bressie. And that's how we're seeing this gap open up to about 0.9 of a second here, as we've got Vicellio and Munsell side by side off at 2. They'll continue that fight into turn 3. I'm really impressed here as we're down to 16 to go. These tires are not real good at this point. It was a 68 lap run, and this is really where we started to see the big time fall off in the first half of this race. These guys are still putting down some pretty good laps. Man, you can really see the double O of Vicellio. He's got a handful right now. Go on board with Alex Vicellio in the side-by-side.
Definitely working hard to keep that 98 off of his rear bumper, and obviously the 5 of Tyler Hensley right there as well.
There you can hear that little bit of a blip in the throttle off at turn 2. Car starts to step out. You got to back out of it, let things settle in. Justin Munsell, Tyler Hensley continue to do battle here. Travis McQuistion and Mike Stroll going to war here as well. McQuistion coming back around. He'll pick up the 8th position as Hensley and Munsell will continue their fight off at turn 2. Show you both of these battles in the side-by-side. Chad Mike is having to contend with Alex Vicellio as well. But it'll be 10 to go next time by the start-finish line for race leader Thomas Bressie. Pick up your race leader on the right-hand side of your screen as we are now down to 9.5 laps to go. Actually, 8.5 at this point. Mikus and Vicellio continue to run nose to tail.
definitely a bit quieter in the second half of the race here for sure. See the 24 kind of checking out now for the first time of the night. Our leader having a bit of a gap and some space to breathe.
Yeah, that's really the first time we've seen it in the race, even in practice and qualifying. The lap times were all very close to each other. Not really a surprise that we're seeing Thomas Bressi check out here, though. He was the only guy in practice that ran exclusively long stints, so he's got probably the best feeling of anybody what the car is going to be doing on worn tires and low fuel.
Yeah, it definitely makes a huge difference. Go ahead.
Not only that, Thomas Bressi, he was probably sandbagging. Dude's probably going out there and going, now it's time to drop the hammer and win this race and get myself another one.
Just quit playing with him. No need for any shenanigans yet. We see the 95 of Joe Dinsmore making his way onto the pit lane. Watching Mikus and Vicellio, I'm reminded of the Teddy Christopher rule. The first shot in the bumper says, I'm here. The second shot in the bumper says, you better get out of the way. The third shot in the bumper isn't really a message at all, other than you're going to the fence. Do you start to see that late in the race here from Alex Vicellio? I mean, he's so close, but it really would take something pretty extreme to try to make the pass here.
Well, he's right on the bumper. I mean, if he can get to the bumper entering the corner, and I'm not saying shunt him, just saying get there and kind of touch him, make him a little bit loose on entry, you could push him up the racetrack a little bit and try and sneak underneath him.
Yeah, these guys are two of the cleanest here in the league, and definitely looking to show some respect here with some hard racing. But yeah, I wouldn't expect to see any contact here, but definitely agree that sometimes you gotta go. But still a few more laps for Alex here to try and work back around the 25 car of Chad Mikus.
Oh, big moment off of 4 for Vicellio. That'll open the door for Hensley on the high side, not able to capitalize into turn number 1. And we are already down to 2 laps to go here for your race leader, Thomas Bressi. In fact, he'll see the white flag this time by. Just 3/4 of a mile left to go before win number 6 for Thomas Bressi. Over the start-finish line, checkered flag in the air, and Thomas Bressi gets win number 6 on the season here at Richmond. Another fantastic performance for Thomas Bressi. He'll get to burn them down here at the start-finish line. As if he hadn't done enough to lock down the regular season title here. Thomas Bressi goes absolutely hog wild at Richmond Raceway. Our Nerdy as Hell podcast rookie of the race tonight is the 00 of Alex Vicellio. And your Primate Pest Elimination hard charger of the race is the number 98 of Justin Munsell, gaining 21 positions. huge run there. And I'll tell you what, if there's a hard luck award, it goes to Mike Stroll tonight. That car was very good at the front of the field here early on in this one. And unfortunately, a little bit of an unforced error, or at least a question in his mind of whether the pits were open, costing Mike Stroll maybe a podium, quite possibly a win tonight. Ultimately, Stroll coming home in the 9th position. But before we get our Victory Lane interviews here kicked off, let's first take a look at your race results this evening. Thomas Bressi getting, as we mentioned, his 6th win of the season by 1.7 seconds over Rob Ackley. Justin Morton rounds out the podium in the 3rd position. Chad Mikas and Tyler Hensley complete your top 5. Alex Vicellio, Justin Munsell, Travis McQuistion, Mike Stroll, and Casey Lakatos will complete the top 10 here this evening. 11 to 15, Will Roberts, Matt Owens, Brian McFerrin, Hayden Pistorius, and Brian Young. 16 through 20, Gael Brooks, Brandon Bernhardt, Chris Matthews, Brent Kusick, and Don Runkle Jr. 21 to 30 will be Daco Parka, Casey Shue, Kyle Cooper, Rich Engel, Brian Keita, Joe Dinsmore, Cal Filarski, Johnny Edward, John Gervin, and Brandon Wengard. Race taking just about 1 hour to run through from start to finish, and we'll get ready and kick off our Victory Lane interviews here tonight with your race winner, Thomas Bressi, picking up win number 6 this season in the Fuel Premier Series. Did you have any idea going in that it would be this dominant of a year, or are you still kind of pinching yourself a little bit? Because that was another fantastic run here tonight.
Yeah, definitely still pinching myself, and definitely had to work for it a lot more tonight. That was Richmond is not one of my better tracks, and Stroll and Rob were both really fast, and I felt like on the first run I could have gotten by Stroll, but it was like every time I'd go to cross him over when I was close enough to actually do something, it was like I got aero tight or something. I got like locked in his tire tracks and just could not make the pass, and then kind of got lucky with whatever happened to him. I think he either said pit road was closed for him and it was open, or he just didn't see it or something, but that sucks for him. I know that, I mean, he deserved to have a shot at least at the win, at the very least. I know it probably, considering the race name, I know it would have been pretty important to him and, special, obviously. But I do want to dedicate the win, though, to Aaron Hall and his family, his friends. And I just, I didn't personally know him, but I've heard plenty about him. And he's a great person, and from all the stories I've heard. And, I think tonight was a good way to, kind of commemorate a good life. So definitely want to dedicate it to him. But yeah, I wish, I feel bad for Stroll though, because again, I know it would have been really special for him, and he was like lights out better than I was at the beginning of the race. It was hard to make passes tonight. So yeah, just happy to get another win, a few more bonus points, lock up the regular season championship, which is great. No stress for Dega next week.
Yeah, I was going to say, what are your thoughts here as we head out to the last wild card of the regular season? Is it almost one of those, like, you just want to stay out of the way of the carnage, or are you more of a get in the middle of it, enjoy every second of it?
I don't know. I've been very, 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 very fortunate this year that I've had all top 5 finishes, including Daytona, which is a rarity for me. I usually don't have the best luck on the plate track. So if I could keep that going next week, that would be spectacular. But I have a feeling my top 5 streak's probably going to end next week. So, but we'll see what we can do to keep it going. Just have fun with it, and try to help the teammates out best they can, or best I can. And, I know they're in a tighter spot in the points. So, if I can lend a hand to them, I certainly want to do that.
Well, I'll tell you what, bud, congratulations on picking up win number 6 this season. It was a lot of fun to watch here late in this one. And before we let you go, get all those sponsor plugs and thank yous in.
Yeah, just again, as always, shout out to the JT Motorsports guys, Tyler and Casey, for doing what they do and being good teammates, and the TDR guys as well for the continued co-opetition. admins as always for putting on the series and allowing us to come here on Monday nights and have a good time, and you guys for bringing the action to everybody watching and stuff, and all the fans watching. Hopefully people enjoyed the race. It's definitely a stressful one in the car, but hopefully it was a fun one to watch.
Yeah, we enjoyed the show for sure, and thank you again for checking in with us here. And let's bring in our third place finisher here this evening, and we'll talk to Mr. Justin Morton, and well, at least once we get the graphics changed anyway. Justin, I'll tell you what, it seemed like the number 11 car was really good tonight. Maybe not the outright pace to take on either Mike in the first half or Thomas in the second half, but sometimes it's about knowing what you have and getting the best out of that.
Yeah, it feels like I got the best out of that there. At the end of that first run, before the caution, I felt like I was starting to actually pick up a really good rhythm and gain back on I think it was Stroll and Ackley. We were slowly gaining on me and Thomas, and caution came out. I think things were about to get really interesting there, but I guess I didn't quite save enough for the second run.
It seemed like that was kind of the name of the game, was how much could you save without giving up a ton of track time. How difficult is that to do in these B-class cars? I mean, it's not. It doesn't sound like it's the easiest thing in the world to try to do.
Yeah, it was a little tricky tonight. The setup was pretty neutral feeling, but if it was a little bit freer, it would have been a bit easier. You'd get to the center of the corner and just wouldn't really want to turn, but it wasn't exactly tight or loose at the same time. It was just a little tricky to manage, just trying to get the right mix of pace and saving the tires.
Well, I'll tell you what, very nice run here to third place. Congratulations on that. And before we let you go here, let's make sure we get all those sponsor plugs and shout outs in.
I'd like to thank my team, Total Downforce Racing. Hayden, I didn't quite see where he finished, but I'm pretty sure he had a pretty solid night. JT Motorsports for working with us, just hanging out with us during the race. Pixel Dust for the awesome paint, Black Box for sponsoring us, and appreciate you guys doing the broadcasting. They're a really great broadcast.
All right, bud. Well, thank you much. We appreciate the kind words there. And now it is time to bring in two of our award winners here tonight. Let's first get Mr. Alex Vicellio fired up, our Nerdy as Hell podcast rookie of the race. Tell us about it, man. That was the late race battle that you guys had with you, Chad, Tyler, and Justin. That seemed like it was a lot of fun to be driving that car late in the race.
That had to be the hardest I've ever driven a car for sixth place. It was really, really fun, really interesting to find all the lines, where to find the little bits of grip after. At least for me, my right front decided to die, and then my right rear decided it wanted to go with it. So it was really, really fun trying to block and also try to pass Chad at the same time. It's really interesting to try to figure out, okay, if I do this line, I'm going to get passed, but if I do this line, I could pass Chad, stuff like that. So overall, it was really, really fun.
It sounds like it was a big-time kind of mental chess match is what you were dealing with there late in the race. How do you manage that and not, miss breaking points and that kind of stuff? I would imagine it's really easy to miss the marks when you have to be as precise as you do here, when you're running all those thought processes through your head.
It absolutely is. I don't know what you saw. I've definitely missed a couple, and Justin and Chad definitely pounced on that, vice versa as well. It's really, really hard, especially when you're following a car, at least for me, to see my braking points because they're on the wall. So it's like you said, it's a chess match. You just kind of got to get into a rhythm and hope you don't break it.
Well, congratulations on picking up the Nerdy as Hell podcast Rookie of the Race award for tonight. And before we let you go, get all the sponsor plugs and thank yous in.
I'd like to thank my team at Firelight Esports and my spotter, Brady Wagner, for helping me with the mental gymnastics that I had to do. And, of course, the administrators and all you guys who put on the broadcast. It's really fun to watch after I'm all done.
All right, bud. Well, thank you much. We appreciate that. And last one we got for you here. Looks like, unfortunately, we will not be able to talk to Rob Ackley tonight. But This guy I am looking forward to talking to because Justin Munsell is your Primate Pest Elimination Hard Charger, gaining 21 spots on a night that everybody else was +2, +1, couple of +6s, but Justin gaining 21 spots. And it wasn't like you played some weird pitch strategy. You were just moving out there.
Yeah, it was this was a pretty special race in terms of just being able to focus and, hitting my times. And, I only get about 5-10 minutes during the practice session to actually get some laps in as I rush home to get on the computer. So it's kind of like you unload it off the truck and see how it is. And today it just worked out well where I was able to run times, equivalent to Bresci and Ackley. And I messed up my Q lap and got sent to the back.
That's a tough break. You screw up qualifying. The car feels good all throughout practice. You kind of screw up the qualifying session. How do you mentally reset yourself to be ready to go when it comes race time?
It's more of, just a mindset. I know being in the back, I have to play it cautious and just kind of feel up the car, being that I don't have as many laps on the tires. So I'll play it by ear and see how I can pick off people in the back, and then slowly I'll try to get a rhythm down and try to pick people off. But usually it's not so easy, but this time the track was really good for me as far as trying to take a line that allowed me to pass on the exit of corners. You can really arc the turn 1 and 3, I felt like, and really get a drive off the end. And a lot of folks' tires were pretty much gone by lap 40 on that first run, so I was able to pick off a lot of folks late in that run.
I'll tell you what, man, it was a lot of fun to watch, and congratulations on picking up the Primate Pest Elimination Hard Charger Award. And before we let you go, get all those sponsor plugs and thank yous in.
Yeah, I'll keep it short today. I just got the boys at Sky Motorsports. They helped me out quite a bit, and love talking to those guys. Unfortunately, we don't get to race on this league anymore, but they still help me out. And then, of course, I want to thank you guys for putting on a killer broadcast. I got a few folks that watch, and they love it. So keep doing your thing.
Well, thank you much, bud. We appreciate that. And, man, I'll tell you what, I don't know that we can handle all the compliments here, Patrick, because, quite frankly, we're not as good as people are making us out to be. But these guys put on a hell of a show, and quite frankly, it makes it a pretty easy show to talk about. Looking ahead now, we're heading off to Talladega next week. Final points are updated here before the drops start to kick in. Thomas Bresci, obviously a light year ahead of everybody, 134 points ahead of Mike Stroll in second in points. But when we start factoring in the drivers that have wins versus those that don't, things start to get kind of interesting here, because you get back to Will Roberts in 11th. He only has 2 points to Alex Vicellio, who's in 9th in points right now. 10th place in points, by the way, is Travis McQuistion. He's locked in with the win at Daytona. But there's still a lot of very tight gaps here. Talladega is going to be possibly even more of a wild card than we expected, because the big one likely will change who makes the fuel finals.
Not only that, Talladega is, I say it every time we go to Daytona and Talladega, don't drive the race cars. Put a roulette table in the middle. Put it right on the front stretch. Every driver picks a number, spin that ball, and that's where everyone finishes. The track is such a crapshoot. You might get somebody that isn't as talented as the top guys winning Talladega and moving themselves on up. So it's, on the same side, you could have one of the most talented drivers in the series go out ready to win that race in the last lap and not get in because someone else passed them right at the end. It is such a crapshoot. I love it. I hate it, depending on where I finish in the race. It is really one of those tracks where you need Lady Luck on your side.
Well, and Boomer, to close things out here, how do you mentally go into that when you're one of those guys who is potentially on the bubble for making the fuel finals? And obviously you have to factor in some of the drops and all, but if you're right now outside looking in, or very close to outside looking in, you really have to take Talladega pretty seriously next week.
Yeah, no doubt. Obviously we saw in the real world William Byron getting into the finals a couple of years ago with that win at Daytona. Something could happen there next week with someone who hasn't won at all this season, or potentially even at all in fuel. It is a bit of a wild card. You will see those guys that know how to race plate races and manage those races. They will be up front for sure. But there will be a few guys up there that may not have a lot of experience at the front of the pack, and sometimes that works out well. Sometimes that that inexperience shows its head, and maybe causes an accident or two that weren't necessary. But you never know. It is that crapshoot, and you just kind of have to go into it knowing that anything can happen, and you have to manage your race and manage your expectations, maybe knowing that if you do need a good finish, that you might have to lean back and wait for the big one. And if the big one never comes, then that is what it is. But I would prefer to always be up on the wheel. The Dale Jr. mentality: take every run you can possibly get and go for it. I think there's more to lose by trying to wait in the back of the pack and wait for a big one, when honestly sometimes it doesn't come. I mean, granted, it almost always does, but I think you put fate more into your own hands when you try to push and go for it. So definitely see quite a few differences in strategies, and I'm all for it as as one who's still sitting out from the league and watching as a broadcaster. I'm all for it. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Looking at the results from Daytona, some of the names are very familiar at the top of that list, and some of them very much not. John Schwartz, Tyler Dulger, even Brian Young getting an 8th place finish there. Obviously, he's got a very good point standings heading into this, but guys like Gael Brooks, Brandon Bernhardt, Casey Lakatos, you could go from outside looking in to making someone else looking in by picking up a win here. Definitely going to be interesting for sure. Want to remind everybody, coming up tomorrow night, this one we will not be on the air for, but come hang out and enjoy the party over at the TNT special events Vintage Indianapolis 500. 500 miles Enduro style, 2.5 hours is about what that race is going to run. Kicking off at 9 p.m. in the East. Server will open at 8 p.m. for an hour of practice. The DW12, IR09, Lotus 79, Lotus 49 in the sprint car. It was carnage last year. And quite frankly, I can't wait. The closing speeds are insane. People screaming at each other over the Discord just because you're absolutely spooked. Driving a 49 or a sprint car, you don't even see them coming on your relative. They're just...
It's absolutely crazy. And then I drove the 49 last year. I loved the 49. I almost won that race by a 6-lap margin before IQ... I'm still salty about this. Before IQ decided to kick me out of the race, and I ended up losing the race by half a lap. That's how much of a gap I had that I could completely restart my computer, load back into the service, and still come out only half a lap behind. I was livid. But you're in the 49. It doesn't corner like a modern IndyCar does. You enter the corner high, come down low, it's sliding up halfway through the turn, and then it comes back low, and then you exit straight. And the IndyCar guys, they come up driving their normal IndyCar line, and you're in their way. They move up high. No, as soon as they move up high, that 49 is sliding high for the mid-corner and then coming back down low. So they're going, what the hell are you doing, man? Hold the line. And you're like, I am holding my line. This thing doesn't look very wide, but it gets pretty wide.
And the sprint car is the same way, quite frankly. This race is a ton of fun. 11 rows of 3, no pit speed limit. At least we're going to try to... Yeah.
The sprint car is the opposite beast. The sprint car is perfectly controlled, very easy to drive in the corners. Going down the straightaways wide open, that thing takes up all 8 lanes of that racetrack. You didn't think there were 8 lanes. There are 8 lanes of that racetrack, and the sprint car uses all of them.
Bottles, anyway. We'll be going out to our race winners, unless they're from Canada, in which case we'll probably write in Sharpie on a bag or something and send them a bag for their milk. But with that, it's time for us to get out of here. For Patrick Byrne, Boomer Logan, and everybody here at the National Racing Network, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We will talk to you all on Wednesday night for the Sim Racers Club Premier Series. Until then, we're out of here. See you, everybody.